Some of you may keep up with the news, but in case you don't, there have been many protests going on in the Hong Kong area. There have been thousands of arrests, injuries, and even deaths. They are protesting the Fugitive Offenders Bill, according to a well-known news outlet, the Washington Post. This bill will force citizens of Hong Kong to give up civil liberties to the Chinese government. In this speech, I'm going to inform you on how the protest started, the purpose, and arguments for it. The reasons for the protest: one of the reasons is the Fugitive Offenders Amendment Bill is going to cost liberties in the Hong Kong. Liberties in America are simple freedoms like free speech, freedom of religion, freedom to own guns, stuff like that. Hong Kong's government is attempting to pass a law that would for the first time allow extraditions to mainland China, according to the Washington Post, the news outlet of America. Extraditions are just simple things like it would allow China to come into Hong Kong, which is its own country, and take whoever they want. And they can make up any reason they want for them to take them back to China and imprison them. In 1984, a joint declaration, the British agreed to give the city back in 1997, and China agreed to allow a high degree of autonomy for 50 years. Now this means that they are pretty much their own nation, and they have their own government, and that they have the freedom to do as they please, like a democracy. The British owned Hong Kong all the way up until 1984, when they agreed to give the city back to China in 1997. The civil liberties laws are free speech, which is something we all have in America. No matter what your views are, you have the freedom to speak about anything. Capitalist economic and market opportunities. And we have this in America also. This is what drives the American economy, is being a capitalist. It bids competition against competitors of the same market. In China, if they lose these opportunities, Chinese government are communists, and under the communist government, everyone is equal. So you won't be able to compete to say who makes more money. You will all just be rewarded the same revenue. China, from the mainland, will be allowed to confiscate anyone they wish, no matter what their role in the country is. So that's why I said, if this bill passes and China doesn't like a politician in Hong Kong that's running for a spot in their government, then they will not be allowed. China could just come in and take them back to Chinese and imprison them. The reason for the bill is Chinese and Hong Kong and Taiwan governments wanted to pass this bill. The reason for this is a man murdered his girlfriend in Taiwan and fled to Hong Kong, where they cannot arrest him for murder. So that is the reason they want to pass this bill, okay? But Hong Kong has arrested the man for money laundering, but they cannot arrest him for murder because he did not commit the murder in Hong Kong. He committed it in Taiwan. So that's one of the reasons for the bill. And the reason for the protests are the critics and citizens of Hong Kong claim that this bill will allow the Chinese government, a communist government, to pick up and detain as they wish if this bill is passed. Like I said, that means that they can just come in and sweep anyone out from Hong Kong. Okay? So in conclusion, much is going on in Hong Kong right now with the protests, okay? So it's really crazy. People are being injured, arrested, and even killed. And Hong Kong will lose liberties, freedom from China if this bill is passed, okay? So the protests are causing a lot of problems for the Chinese and Hong Kong governments. Hopefully you should have learned that Hong Kong will lose liberties if this bill is passed. You should have learned what the bill will cause them to lose and why it's a major problem. Finally, you also learned the reason for proposing the bill and why they won't pass it. According to CNN, a national news outlet in America, many protesters have had enough of the violence and vandalism happening in their city.